It's over. The long 4-year nightmare of Donald Trump being in the White House is done. Donald Trump has left the building. But of course, on his way out, he made some pardons. There's nothing new about that, nothing controversial about the act of a president making a pardon. So, but how, who he chose and who he didn't choose to pardon, well, that is quite telling. It's quite interesting. In fact, two people stick out as being a complete middle finger to his own supporters. And I don't mean the non-pardon of Joe Exotic. All right. So now the first actually is, well, former chief of staff and sentient pustule, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon. So now Donald Trump told people that after much deliberation in the White House, he had decided to pardon Steve Bannon as one of his final acts in office. Prosecutors pursued Mr. Bannon with charges related to fraud stemming from his involvement in a political project. The statement from the White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany read. So now those of you who need to be refreshed because the last 4 years has felt like the last 40, Bannon is facing a federal case that began back in August when New York federal prosecutors charged him and 3 others with defrauding donors of more than $1 million as part of a fundraising campaign aimed at supporting Donald Trump's border wall. So this was a build the wall project. You remember the wall, right? You remember how Mexico was supposed to pay for it first, and then of course when that didn't work out, the military was supposed to pay for it, and when that didn't work out, and when Congress couldn't fund any of that, they ended up doing a GoFundMe campaign. Yes, literally GoFundMe for the wall. Wow. And hey, it turns out Bannon took that money literally and put it in his pocket. Of course, according to the indictment, the fund called We Build the Wall, which didn't happen, was actually a slush fund for the personal expenses of Steve Bannon and his co-defendants, Brian Kolfage, Andrew Bottolato, and Timothy Shea. Kolfage, of course, struck a deal with Bannon and Bottolato to earn $100,000 in the wall funds immediately and $20,000 a month after that, according to the indictment. So now, Kolfage had told Bottolato in the text exchange, quote, this is part of the evidence. As far as the public knows, no one is getting paid. Salaries will never be disclosed. Well, I added the laugh, of course, but they also used hundreds of thousands of dollars raised for the wall for personal expenses. They used the money to purchase speedboats, cars, cosmetic surgery, and travel. Cosmetic surgery, I sure hope Bannon wasn't the one getting cosmetic surgery, because if that's true, that doctor needs to be fired. Didn't work. I guess there's, only so much you can do for someone who looks like a human raisin. Just saying. All right, so again, they knew, they lied, and of course, by the way, Donald Trump had also known about this. He endorsed it. Shea's wife, Amanda, tweeted back in 2019 that she had discussed the project with the president himself in detail. And of course, after the indictments had come out publicly, some of the donors were stunned and upset. I don't know why you would be stunned. You're giving money to criminals. Quote, I feel taken. Barbara Copeland, a 56-year-old Trump supporter in South Carolina, told HuffPost back in August. She said that she donated $100 to build a wall in 2019. I too fell for Kolfage's claims that he was never going to use a dime of it for personal use. Yes. How dumb do you have to feel as a Trump supporter right now? If you're a hardcore MAGA guy who believed everything he said, how dumb do you feel? I'm not saying that agreeing with him on policy makes you dumb. That makes you an a-hole. But, trusting Donald Trump, giving money to people who are near Donald Trump, people like Steve Bannon, that makes you dumb because they are obvious grifters. And it makes you at least gullible at the least, okay? Especially considering how Steve Bannon was laughing at you and joking about this out in the open. Take a look.
Welcome back. This is Stephen K. Bannon. We're off the coast of Saint-Tropez in southern France in the Mediterranean. We're on the $1 million yacht of Brian Kolfage. And Brian Kolfage, he took all that money from Build the Wall.
Yes, he was joking, but also he wasn't, because that's exactly what happened. They took the money from Build the Wall and used it to buy boats. Again, he thought that you were so stupid that he could just rub it right in out in the open. They stole from you, they laughed at you, and that's it. Also, Donald Trump he's laughing at you too, because he just let that grifter off. In fact, a senior Trump advisor told CNN that Bannon and Trump had communicated in recent weeks. Of course, that was after the high-profile exit after Trump kicked him out for saying bad things about, I think it was Ivanka Trump, called her dumb as a brick, and criticized the Trump Tower meeting that Don Jr. was involved in, that ended up, of course, leading to absolutely nothing being done against Trump or the Trump family. And so, okay, whatever, it turned out to be nothing. So now, while some advisors believe that it was decided last weekend that Bannon was not getting a pardon, Trump continued to raise it to Tuesday night because, of course, Steve Bannon kept talking about how, oh, Trump's right. There's so much voter fraud. In fact, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a war on January 6, 2020, or 2021. You just watch. There's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. Well, that's what happens. But what this is, obviously, is a slap in the face to all the so-called patriots who funded this ridiculous border wall. These are people that gave money, right? Another action taken by Trump was the commutation of the prison sentence of a man named Fred Davis Clark Jr. So this is another one, right? So now this person was convicted in 2015 for crimes related to a Ponzi scheme. Now the Tampa Bay Times reported this and talked to one of the victims, right, of this person. That's a Trump supporter named Kimball Pugmire. So Kimball Pugmire, not happy about the president's decision. Pugmire actually ended up losing his entire life savings to this ridiculous Ponzi scheme, which the United States Department of Justice said involves sales at K-Club resorts and marinas to approximately 1,400 investors in the Florida Keys and elsewhere. In an interview with the Tampa Bay Times, here's what Pugmire said, quote, "I thought, well, he will probably die in prison and he deserved it. I was thinking that's justice because now he can sit there the rest of his life contemplating what he's done to other people. I had been trying to forget about all this, but it makes you wonder, even being a Trump supporter, about his honesty." Yeah, about Trump's honesty? You got played. He just let the guy go that stole your money. Just like with Bannon, he let him go even after he stole money from you. But there's more. Former California Republican Congressman Duke Cunningham pleaded guilty for accepting $2.3 million in bribes, was given a pardon. Another Republican was Representative Robin Hayes, who was party to one of North Carolina's largest corruption scandals. You also had Elliot Brody, Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, and Kwame Kilpatrick getting the pardon. So basically you get celebrities and some grifters that end up getting pardoned by Donald Trump, and you get, what do? You get nothing. You get the people who stole from you, stole taxpayer money, they get nothing. So, and what you didn't have, you didn't see people get pardoned that actually did good things. For example, journalist Julian Assange. Where's his pardon? He didn't get a pardon. What about whistleblowers Edward Snowden? What about Reality Winner? What about those people? They deserved a pardon. They didn't get one because Donald Trump doesn't care. But interestingly enough, another person who didn't get a pardon, who doesn't deserve one, is Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani had actually attempted to sell pardons for up to $2 million apiece. In fact, the New York Times reported that an associate of Rudy Giuliani had actually told CIA torture whistleblower John Kiriakou, who also did not receive a pardon, that if you want one, it's going to cost you. How much? About $2 million. Kiriakou, of course, declined the offer, but he did pay $50,000 to a former top Trump campaign advisor to try to help secure a pardon. In fact, I'm going to show you a video. This is John Kiriakou explaining what happened, this entire process, on Democracy Now! Take a look.
the way it worked under Donald Trump is that he ignored the office of the U.S. pardon attorney. In most cases, the pardon attorney wasn't even consulted. If you were a friend of the president, or you knew someone who was a friend of the president, or you hired a friend of the president, and you could get to him,
I thought it was
and make your case, then you were considered for a pardon. What I did was I had to hire a lobbyist who had headed the Trump campaign in Florida in 2016. She charged me $50,000 that I didn't have. I had to borrow, with a promise of another $50,000 once I got the pardon. The money went down the drain. But we now know that that other associates of Donald Trump were charging double that, even 10 and 20 times that. I had a meeting with 4 other people that included Rudy Giuliani on July 1st of last year here in Washington at the Trump Hotel. It was a meeting completely unrelated to a pardon, and I frankly didn't even intend to make the request, but there was a lull in the conversation, so I thought I'd take advantage of the opportunity. And so I said, well, Mr. Mayor, can we talk about maybe asking for a presidential pardon? He immediately said that he had to use the men's room, and he got up and he walked away. One of his aides who was there at the meeting then said to me, Rudy doesn't talk about pardons. You have to talk to me, and he's going to ask you for $2 million. And I laughed, and I said, I don't have $2 million. I said, are you out of your mind? $2 million? Why would I spend $2 million to recover a $700,000 pension? That doesn't make any sense. And I dropped it. But he said that that's what the price was. And now they don't see this as a bribe. They don't see it as buying a pardon. They see it as lobbying, which is, you know, a dirty thing that happens in Washington. But this is the way Washington works.
Drain the swamp my ass. When it comes to pardons, I mean, he's not going to pardon anybody that's actually done really anything good in this country. No, he's going to pardon people who paid him. And here's the thing, Kiriakou deserves a pardon because he exposed the torture program in this country and our human rights abuses. But Donald Trump, understand that Donald Trump loves torture, okay? Hates journalists, hates whistleblowers, obviously. I mean, Assange gave him a huge gift in the election, the Clinton emails. And he wouldn't even pardon Assange. So, I mean, come on. Obviously, there's going to be no pardons for people who did any good in America unless you give him lots and lots of money. And so, again, as I mentioned, Rudy Giuliani didn't get a pardon. He might be in a little bit of trouble. So understand, like, if you're a Trump supporter and you believe that he was there to drain the swamp, that he was there to fight Washington corruption, no, he was there to pick his. He was there to fill his pockets and to pick your pocket. He is the swamp. He used you, stole from you, and he's now laughing at you all the way to Florida. And now he's also, by the way, planning to try to use you for even more money by creating his own possible political party to which to siphon people off from the Republican Party in order to, fill his pockets. That's who Donald Trump is. He's a grifter. He's always been a grifter, and he will always continue to be a grifter. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.